Welcome to My Face, My Story, Voices from the Craniofacial Community, with your host, Dina Zuckerberg.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Face, My Story, Voices from the Craniofacial Community. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts, click subscribe now so that you'll never miss a future episode. And if you're a fan of My Face, My Story, rate and review the program on Apple Podcasts so that we can get our message of inclusivity and empowerment to more people. I'm your host, Dina Zuckerberg, the Director of Family Programs at MyFace. I was born with a cleft lip, a hearing loss, and no vision in my left eye. My Face, My Story is about people like us being seen and heard, about sharing stories within the craniofacial community and with others. For today's episode, I will be joined by two people who I adore, Rick Guidotti and Naomi Levinshtein, to discuss redefining beauty. Rick Guidotti is an award-winning photographer who has spent the past 25 years collaborating internationally with nonprofit organizations, hospitals, medical schools, educational institutions, museums, galleries, advocacy groups, and communities to enact a sea change in social attitudes towards individuals living with genetic, physical, behavioral, or intellectual differences. His work has been published in newspapers and magazines and journals as diverse as Elle, GQ, People, the American Journal of Medical Genetics, The Lancet, Spirituality and Health, The Washington Post, Atlantic Monthly, and Life magazine. Rick is the founder and director of Positive Exposure, a nonprofit organization that promotes a more inclusive world through award-winning photography. In June 1998, Guidotti's work was featured in Life magazine's cover story entitled Redefining Beauty. Rick is the focus of the award-winning documentary On Beauty by Contemporary Films. In 2019, Rick and his team opened their new headquarters in East Harlem on New York City's Museum Mile that embraces individuals at risk of stigma and exclusion and serves as a central hub for showcasing the work of visual, performing, literary, and multidisciplinary artists, as well as providing educational, cultural, and artist-in-residency programming. Rick remains committed to collaborating with individuals, families, and communities around the world, celebrating the beauty and richness of our shared humanity. Welcome, Rick. Thank you for joining us. Hi.
Thanks for having me, Dina. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Thank you.
So excited. So Naomi is a creative, passionate, and expressive 23-year-old. As a makeup artist with a cleft lip and palette, she knows firsthand the impact a facial difference can have on one's confidence and self-esteem. Makeup has allowed Naomi to express herself in a way that makes her feel strong, empowered, and beautiful. She is a fierce advocate of teaching compassion and empathy and of promoting beauty from within. Welcome, Naomi. Hi.
Hi.
I love the entrance.
Wow.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, so excited to talk to two people that I love. So I know it's going to be a great conversation. So I'm going to start off with you, Naomi. Can you share with us a little of what it was like for you growing up with a cleft lip and palette?
So I had a pretty severe bilateral cleft lip and palate. I've had many surgeries. I think maybe around 20, give or take. It was definitely not easy for me growing up. I didn't really see anyone like me ever. And I wasn't at the time considered within the beauty norm or standards. I was picked on a lot as a kid. people said nasty things, assumed weird things, left me out, and it was incredibly difficult for me. I found makeup when I was about 11 years old. I was bedridden due to an autoimmune condition I also have that's not related to my cleft, but I needed something that would, sorry about the sirens. I needed something I could do from the comfort of my own bed. And this was around the infancy of YouTube. And so I started watching beauty gurus on YouTube and I taught myself. And I started to notice a change in my confidence and also my overall happiness. And I feel like people started to notice me more for my makeup, not just my cleft lip. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I've known you for a long time, and I have watched the amazing woman that you've become. So,
Thank you.
So I'm just curious, Naomi, because we talked a little bit about this stuff offline, but what through your makeup and through what you do, what do you tell people who don't see their own beauty?
I think I see beauty in everything, and I encourage that kind of mindset for everybody. Just finding just one thing at least that you find beautiful about yourself, beautiful about other people, because there's just so much beauty around us every day. It was really, really difficult for me. It still is sometimes seeing my own beauty. And so, what I would say to someone who would be in a similar situation to me is everybody feels that way sometimes, and it's okay to feel that way. But it's also really important to see beauty within yourself and take time to love yourself and find things that make you feel beautiful on top of that. For me, that was makeup and being able to express myself through that and being able to maybe replicate a look I saw from a celebrity I really like or colors I really liked in a movie composition. Um, it made me feel empowered and beautiful because not only do I look aesthetically nice, it set my heart on fire. And I think people are the most beautiful when they're doing the things that they love.
Right, because their beauty sort of comes out through that passion and what they're doing. And
there's nothing more beautiful than someone talking about something they're passionate about. I think you really see someone for who they are and watch them light up. That's when someone's the most beautiful to me. But beauty isn't, like I said, with like the confidence and the light it brings out. Beauty is not just skin deep. Sure, there are beautiful features, but there's beautiful people with beautiful personalities. It's how you hold yourself. It's how you walk around in the world. Are you slouching? Or are you sitting up straight? Are you being kind and beautiful to the people around you? There's so many different factors that go into being beautiful, and that's why I think so many people are beautiful and they don't even know it. Because we're trained to have this hyper-focused view on what beauty is. You know, it changes quite often. I'm sure Rick can tell you that all about the industry. Every couple months, it's a different eye color, it's a different body shape that is attractive. But what really is attractive at the core is who they are. You know, beauty changes. You get older, things change, but who you are is what you have at the end of the day.
So I'm curious, Rick, building on what Naomi just said, as somebody who came from the fashion world and started positive exposure, what do you think about what Naomi is saying?
Oh, we're really coming from them. There's so much synergy in our life forces. I mean, as a fashion photographer so many years ago, I was always told who was beautiful. I was told who the face of the season was, and we'd rush and we'd photograph that face, and the next season it would change, and we'd rush and photograph the next face of that season. And it was constant. But the thing that was so frustrating for me as an artist is I never saw beauty just on covers of magazines. I see beauty everywhere. Beauty has there's so many things and facets about beauty. That it has light, it has texture, it has sound, it has vibration. It's extraordinary. And I was forced to work within these parameters of a beauty standard that I found so inauthentic, found so dull. And once I opened up my own eyes and started trusting my own concepts of beauty, my own impressions of beauty, and started presenting it back to the world, everything changed. Everything changed. And the beauty that has stepped in front of my lens over the last 25 years has been extraordinary and life changing. And then to present that beauty back to a community that only sees beauty within those parameters of the standard, it's also life-changing for audiences as well, because then they see beauty and they're allowed to accept it and understand that it has sound, it has texture, there's light and boldness, and it's brilliant, and it's freeing. It's a freedom that we're all able to, once we allow ourselves to experience beauty, however it presents itself to us, it changes our lives. It exists in full color, and everything is exciting, and everything is fresh, and everybody's invited to the table. Everybody's invited not only to sit at the table, but to dance at the table as well. No matter where I am around the globe, and I'm photographing, I'm shooting, which continent, which culture, it doesn't matter which language we're speaking. We all have the same need, and it's a need to be seen, right, a need to be heard, and a need to belong. And when you step into and you put the beauty lens on, everybody becomes part of this. It's a human movement to change those parameters of the beauty standard, to be inclusive, to show that we all have that components of beauty that are extraordinary, but we're only allowed to see it here. It's like, no, I put up with that for a very long time, and then I just put that aside and said, no. Let's really understand what beauty is, and here it is. There were these two beauties right in front of me. Wow, I got to get my camera. I can't help myself. I can't. It's right here in full color. Oh, you guys are stunning. Hi.
I do love your motto. Change how you see how you change. It really, it's amazing, and it really makes sense to me when you think about that. Naomi, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna connect it, and it connects perfectly to what you were saying. The power that comes with representation is just so vast. I think so many people within the craniofacial community and other communities when there's no one that represents you, that you can envision yourself in, it feels incredibly isolating, and it gets in the way of seeing your own beauty, because when you're shown only one type of person, and they're like tall and thin or blonde and they have perfect skin, you look in the mirror and you get disappointed, and it's exhausting. It's incredibly exhausting. I am so proud of the work that I do online, because I get so many messages from people that are like, I have a really hard time seeing myself as beautiful, and I have a cleft too, and I see you, and I feel like I can do it, and that I have hope. And it really pushes how I feel even more so, and why I keep pushing, and why I love to express myself, because not only am I expressing myself, I'm giving people something that they can relate to, because I wish I had someone to relate to growing up. I think I would have noticed and respected my own beauty and who I was if I felt less alone and less like an outcast, because so often in media, people with differences are demonized and shown in a unfair light. Still to this day, I see people with craniofacial differences used as like a serial killer or like a monster. And while I think the general public doesn't really understand and really fully resonate, like, and understands, oh my gosh, this, directly, shows me how to treat someone and how to view someone. It does. It does. It directly influences how we see ourselves as well and how other people see us and treat us. That's why it's so important to do what I do, and also Rick. I mean, I'm so endlessly inspired by Rick. We met, and I love you. I mean,
I love
everything
you.
we stand for and giving people life. And I see this myself as someone who experiments with photography as well. I have friends with clefts, and sometimes I want to take pictures of them, and I see them get really shy, but you are so kind, and your energy, you give so much, and you allow people to feel beautiful in front of you, because being in front of the camera is very vulnerable. I think even as someone who experiments with photography, photographing myself is the hardest. So I can only imagine what someone else who's not used to being in front of the lens must feel. So yeah, that was a long tangent.
Yeah, no, but I get that, Naomi, and the idea here is that it's not a cookie cutter approach to photography. For me, it's everybody. One of the things I stopped doing 25 years ago is taking photographs. It's all about collaborating on an image, creating images together, creating creating a platform, a voice for visibility, and it's creating that safe space to then really collaborate on creating that image. It's almost like a beautifully choreographed dance, and it's gorgeous, and creating that, and it's all so individual, and it has always been individual since day one. And it's things that I love when I'm photo. It's like there's that attitude. You walked in when we first met about I think it's 8 or 9 years ago. You walked in, you were a kid, you didn't have any makeup on, but you just had it. You were like it's just. That's the shoulder. You had to walk. You had a flick of the head. This is all beauty. This is what really makes beauty, and this is what creates that. And one of the things I remember so wonderfully about photographing you for the first time is that you were just doing it all. You were just there. You were fabulous. You were gorgeous. You were just giving it. And I looked over your shoulder, and I continue to do this with whoever I'm photographing, and I saw your mom, who was beaming brighter than you, because somebody saw her gorgeous baby through her eyes, through the eyes of someone that loves her, and saw your beauty. I saw her the way she saw you, and that was mind blowing to see that, and it just, and that's something that happens all the time, and it's really about allowing that dance and allowing that collaboration, creating that safe space. But really, we're working on an image together, and we're working on the attitude, and it comes, and the flavor, and the texture, and the sound, and the music. It's all so gorgeous, and it's something that'll just every single day for the rest of my life I will be doing this, because it's just it's extraordinary, and it's beauty. And I do want to say, and I loved when you went on about talking about what's on the inside. It's like, I am completely shallow. This is about not inner beauty. This is about beauty, and it's full color, and it's right there, and it's present, and that's I love the idea of inner beauty. Yes, and be kind, be nice. I get that, but I'm talking. This is just beauty. This is stunning, amazing, exciting, thrilling beauty.
And that took me such a long time to accept and understand, and something I still continuously work on. I think when you've been told your whole life that you are not, you have a very hard time seeing it within yourself. And I see that when I do other people's makeup as well, you know, before they're like shy. And how I see someone, I mean, I don't know if you're the same way. When I see someone, I instantly do their makeup in my head. And I see all the beautiful characteristics because I have such a fine eye. I'm like, oh, you have lovely lid space. You have amazing eye color. You know, how someone carries themselves. All these things, you know? And I want people with craniofacial differences or just differences in general, even if you've been told your whole life that you're not what's considered gorgeous, that's a whole lot of hogwash.
Yay!
A whole lot of
That's
nothing.
true.
I mean, everyone has so many things that make them beautiful. And I never want someone to feel the way I do growing up. And that's why it's so important to keep having these conversations and keep, you know, holding people accountable and showing the world who we are. We're not just, you know, the scarred supervillains. We're badass people with a whole lot of love in our hearts. Our experiences on our triumphs and, you know, even the troughs of it are small pieces of what make us so beautiful. I think there's something so special about people that have overcome something so difficult. I think it often gives us a lot of personality. And although you said, you know, I am famous, you know, it's not just personality, of course. But it is a very big thing. Personality is so important.
You know, the one of the things that when Dina had mentioned our slogan, "Change how you see how you change." That
Yes.
really came so much from our own community, who desperately needed to change the way they saw themselves, and
Right.
also how their communities desperately needed to change how they see differences. So that really just pulls in. It's talking about individuals and communities. It's reaction and reaction. It's just this gorgeous kind of. And again, I go right back to that dance feeling that it really is choreography, and it's movement, and it's dance, and it's sound and texture, and all that is just the gentleness of beauty, and then the boldness of beauty.
Yeah, you do have a way. I was thinking about what Naomi was saying about how it's so hard, I think, for me as well to see the beauty that I have, and you have an incredible ability to bring that out. And it's like I feel so good after I do a photo shoot with you, and seeing that, because you really do see it when you look at those photographs in a way that, and you can't hide. Like somehow you have a way of just bringing that out, and it's just amazing.
Thanks.
So
Well, having you sit in front of the camera, Dina, and whenever we shoot, you always bring it, and you're there. And it's like it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this or gonna do that. It's like you just bring it, and it's again we're creating the image together, and it's like we're connected, and it's those connections that really allow the freedom or beauty to come out in full color and as loud and as bold as it can be, is when you're there and you've got that feeling, and you're but it's not a photographer coming in and taking a photograph. It really is that beautiful, gorgeously choreographed collaboration.
I love the idea of the dance, and yeah, as you were describing it, I could almost visualize that. So in what ways, so I mean, we talked about this, but in some ways you're both attempting to redefine beauty. And I love, Rick, what you said about it's also something you taught me. It's not about the beauty within, like it's about the beauty that you see, the visual that you see. And it's interesting. I go into schools and I talk to kids and especially the little ones. And I think so much of, especially for little ones, if they've not been exposed and haven't seen someone who looks different a certain way, they can be scared, they can be a little nervous, they can be, and it's just like you introduce them to, I talk about my story, I talk about who I am, and all of a sudden it becomes almost like it's no big deal to them, because all of a sudden they see me and they go, oh, she doesn't see out of her left eye. She has a scar on her lip up here. And I think that what you are doing, and in some ways, Naomi, what you're doing through your Instagram is you're introducing people who have so many differences and showing that beauty of that difference. And all of a sudden it's okay, that's who they are. And there's so much diversity and beauty out there. And so anyway.
Well, just through the mission of positive exposure, which is to promote a more inclusive world through photography, through film, through exhibitions, lectures, and educational programs, it really creates so many opportunities to really, there's so much space there to allow the public and broader public arenas to see beauty. So many of my friends have told me that when you're walking down the street and you see somebody that has a difference, whether it's a craniofacial difference or any kind of difference, you have two options. You either stare, or then you hear your mom's voice in your head. It's not polite to stare, so you look away. Well, my friends for the last 25 years have told me that sometimes that looking away is even more painful than the staring. So what we needed to do is create opportunities to steady the glance, steady the gaze of the public. Don't look away. Come back, and don't be afraid to look. Come back, take a deep breath, and there's beauty. And then all of a sudden they see it, and then you're enlightened. But the beautiful thing here is that you stay enlightened. Every photograph that we do, as you see, they're all face mounted on glass, on like on really high relief reflective surface, so face mounted. It's either plexi or glass. So as you approach this gorgeous face, this energy coming off the photograph, you're also aware of your own reflection. So the idea is this is not about them or those. It's about us. It's about all of us, creating opportunities for all of us to feel that we belong here and that we can be celebrated. And our beauty comes in however it happens to present is worthy and it's stunning, and that we absolutely, it's there. And sometimes it is just in that little shoulder, or it's a flick of the hair. Sometimes it's in a look in the eyes, but it's all these little components. And Naomi, you said these little bits of beauty that come in, and then it adds up to this powerful sensation of beauty.
I remember when we did theater years ago, and Rick, you'll probably remember this, but one of the things I remember an audience member saying was, when you can see somebody and have, it's like all of a sudden we gave them permission to look. And so I think in some ways the work that you're both doing is you're giving people permission to look and to see somebody that they may not always have that opportunity to do in some ways. So
to build off what you both said, it giving people the opportunity to look, because so many people are afraid of staring and being rude. I've come into contact with so many people, and being able to educate someone just about the experiences I've had, because how I view, how I view my facial scars are their little etches, little stories and experiences of things I overcame. And that's why I personally love them so much. But it gives people an opportunity to ask questions and, have an understanding and have empathy. Because when you're just shunning someone and you're looking away, you can't have a conversation and you can't acknowledge someone and see them. I've done those seminars with you with the Wonder Project, and I was really moved because one of the last times we had a class, they didn't ask me about my experiences. They just asked me about my makeup. Kids
Right.
are really intuitive, and I felt seen and heard, and it was a really beautiful experience. Um, and to piggyback off what Rick was saying, acknowledging your own beauty allows other people to acknowledge theirs. Not everyone that I talk to or that follows me has a cleft. They have other things, or they have maybe they're insecure about their weight, or they're insecure about this. When you see someone moving past that and feeling empowered and doing what they want and showing who they are and being themselves, it gives you an opportunity to do that as well. Inclusion isn't just about the marginalized group, it's about bringing everyone to the table, like Rick said.
All of us,
Super.
absolutely. There's another part of this component of beauty that I just want to just touch on just briefly. Is taking that concept of beauty and bringing it into the medical community. Bringing it, so we spend a lot of time speaking to healthcare providers in training, practitioners constantly around the globe. We're in more than half the medical schools in the country, creating opportunities for a healthcare provider in training to see the beauty in genetics, not seeing those scary medicalized photographs of someone naked up against the wall in a doctor's office with a black bar across their eyes, but to see beauty, to connect with that beauty, to feel the humanity, helping a healthcare provider in training earlier in their training understand that it's never what you're treating, it's always who you're treating through the lens of beauty, through this fashion photographer's lens, but through the lens of beauty. We can change that. We can all change that. And Naomi, you nailed it when you said it's about representation. It's completely, you said that's all we need to even talk about here. It's about representation. We have to see ourselves so we make our connect. And if we don't see ourselves out there, we got to put ourselves out there. And I'm ready. I've got my camera. I'm ready. So I'm ready, guys. Just let me know and let's get started. Let's do this. Let's just do this. Let's do this. And let's just absolutely change the way the world sees difference.
Yeah, we actually have a comment from Lamise. She's saying, looking away or showing sympathy is not the most inclusive and considerate way for any person with facial difference. It's better to look kindly and smile or even approach them to talk. I think it's true.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because I think when someone looks away, it's even more isolating. And I think it deprives someone of the right to understand and, see someone as a human being and not associate looking different as a shameful thing that you cannot acknowledge with your own eyes. It's not a shameful thing. It's normal. I mean, no one asks to be different. It's something you're just given, and it's a completely natural and normal thing to happen. I wish more people understood that. And just like any natural thing in the universe, whether it be a flower growing out of the ground, baby being born, we are beautiful. We have a right to feel beautiful.
That's right.
And as someone, I'm very lucky to have the temperament I do and the chutzpah, as one would say, to put myself out there. And I feel an obligation always to highlight that it is okay. And there's so much beauty in difference. And, if everyone looked the same, life would be so boring. It's so boring. There's something, Dina, you say during the Wonder Project, wishing you could rub on like a magic lamp. You can wish that, but you notice your own beauty when you accept yourself and you accept, this is who I am, this is what I've been through, this is what I continue to go through, and that's okay. And just not even in spite of it, because I don't want to diminish beauty in that, because it's not in spite. I'm beautiful regardless, and my cleft is just it's just an experience. How I'm trying to figure out how to phrase myself. Um,
I always,
you
yeah, I always
Yeah.
say now it's a part of me. It's just a piece of me. It's not all of me. That I'm not defined by my craft or my differences, and I'm so much more than that person. And it's taken me a long time
You're
to
one of
get
the
to
most
that
beautiful
point.
people I know.
Thank you. And likewise, I feel the same about you. And I think, like we said at the beginning, it's really about the passion that we bring out. And what we do is where you see the beauty. And then, of course, the work that Rick does just brings it out even more and more and more. So um, I have a question. So both My Face and Positive Exposure bring people together through their programming. Why do you think community support is so important when it comes to issues of beauty and self-esteem?
Wow, so that's a
Because we're
really
stronger.
great question. Great question. If I can jump onto that first, and then Naomi, or do you want to go first? Or because we've got big ideas about this.
You go.
It's because it really is about community. It's about all of us. We opened this gallery in East Harlem, a
Yes.
multimedia gallery performance space, specifically because we're all so limited. We're all really creative. We have some ideas and passions, but we're limited by our own imaginations. But together, we can do anything because all the best parts of us all get combined, and then there's just zero limitation, and that's what we need, and that's why community representation. Everybody has to be invited to the table. We have created an opportunity for us to throw a big party, but it's not a successful party unless everybody dances.
Right.
Everybody has to come to the party and then dance. They have to all be invited, but then also invited to dance. So so community together is empowering, number one.
Right.
Creating opportunities for us to do this together, but then collectively having an impact on the world, changing one attitude or another, one person, but changing the way the world sees difference, creating opportunities for the audiences around the globe to see and celebrate the beauty and richness in human diversity. It's that diversity that we have to hold on to. It's that diversity that we have to be proud of. It's that diversity that we have to present and send back to all of our friends and present to everybody that we know. We must aptly include all of us. It's our voices, it's our stories, it's our experiences that are valuable and need to be presented.
And to continue with what I was saying in correlation with Rick, we're so much stronger together. One person can scream to the high holy heavens, and it's hard. It can be hard to hear, when you have a group of people working together. You're like a well-oiled machine. One person can do this, one person can do that, and I really feel like I was able to come to terms and see myself when I was able to be around people like me who've had similar experiences. Like we've been saying, there's so much value and representation, and having people that understand. And, that's why I always try to talk about the things I've been through and my experiences and how I feel, because not everyone is going to have a collapse, sure, but everyone can try to understand. Understanding, I think, is a very big stepping stone to seeing the beauty and value in someone else. I think when you get to see the whole picture of someone and all their moving parts, or at least little bits and pieces as you go and you get to know someone, you really get to see the value and understand and welcome the difference and appreciate that. I don't want people to, pity me for looking different. I want them to see me and value me and appreciate the things I've been through and the fact that, yeah, I'm a little different, and that's cool too. And
Yeah.
value diversity. There's power in diversity.
Yeah, I think
No
that's
one
right. There's
yeah.
there's power in diversity and there's power in community. I mean, when you realize that you're not the only one that feels a certain way or sees a certain way, it's just it's so empowering. I don't know how else to say it, but it's just you feel good when you know you're not the only one that feels a certain way.
No one's alone on this journey.
Yeah.
And when you see someone who is like in a similar position to you and they're able to tell you how they feel and it echoes the same thought, I have a few cleft friends all over, and there are some days where they don't feel very beautiful, and I just say, you're gorgeous. There's so many things, there's so much to see, and I love that, your lip looks this certain way and it goes in this direction. Like, there's just so much beauty in it. Oh my god, I can talk about this all day. But I
know.
won't.
So we actually have a comment from Robin. I was born with a cleft too, and it has shaped my life in many ways, including helping me see beauty more in those around me. I won't say I'm beautiful, but I am pretty.
You're beautiful,
Yeah.
Robin.
So we are doing it. And then we have another comment. A huge part of how people see us is how the media and movies presented people who look differently as disfigured or ugly or even monsters in horror movies. So I think we need to start changing that. And that's exactly what we talked about earlier. So I have my last final question for you. And that is because I think you're both incredibly amazing people. So do you have any plans to work together in the future? It seems that if you joined forces, you could change lives. There's no doubt in my mind. And I know Naomi has an idea in mind. So
we've been in talks. As a baby photographer, I have a lot to learn from Rick, and as a makeup artist, we really have been talking about maybe putting on an event, whether it be one time, whether it be multiple times. I want to create an atmosphere where I can bring out everyone's inner supermodel. So I'm looking for people in New York that are willing to do that and willing to take a chance and be a little vulnerable in front of the camera. I'll glam you. We'll have a good time. We'll tell you how beautiful you are. Because it's, like I said, so important. Representation.
We won't just tell people how beautiful they are. We'll show them how beautiful they are. We will have the proof. The proof will be in the imagery. And to work with you on this, Naomi, to see you budding first of all, see you as a very accomplished makeup artist. And just look at your eyebrows. I'm so blown away by them, and your eye shade. But also as a budding photographer, I've seen your photographs. There's such beauty there. I'm thrilled to be working with you on that. And I really do think that this should be something we start cultivating. The ideas that we can we can present imagery, that we can collaborate together. It's always about collaborations. It's not just about me as the only photographer. We need to bring more photographers, more artists, more just compassionate people together to really use whatever their talents happen to be. It could be music, it could be dance, it could be photography, it could be makeup, but bring all those people together and dream. And now's the time we can create change how you see how you change. We can do this. And with this kind of a workshop together, Naomi, we will start that process. And I believe this is going to be an organic process that's going to grow extraordinarily large and keep going and be really impactful and change a lot of lives. I'm really excited to go on that journey with you.
Me too.
And my vision.
And the media can't bring us to the table. We'll make our own table.
That's right, baby.
Absolutely. And my vision is that then we exhibit it and we let the world see it. So that's my vision from this little idea.
That's how we're going to change it. That's how we're going to change the world.
Yeah.
It's how we're going to change the world. And all this, there's again, and I want to thank My Face for this, because it's the synergy in My Face. It's the messaging of My Face. It's the support, the love, the community. You know, I feel the love here of this group, but I whenever I'm at a My Face event, I feel there's blown away by the love and the support and the trust and the belief that we're better together. Everybody's holding hands, and that's nurtured from My Face, and that's in the guts of My Face, that we're doing this together. It's not we're helping a few people, we are helping ourselves. We're together in this, and we're arm in arm, hand in hand, and we're going to bring in all of our like others, like Positive Treasure and our Naomi's, and we're going to together change the world. And that's how it's going to. So thank you, My Face, for doing everything that you do for your community, and which has also become so much more and much further and broader than we could have ever imagined.
Well, I think that is a perfect way to end this conversation. So I can't thank you both enough for doing this and having this conversation. And hopefully we will continue to redefine beauty. So thank you both.
Ooh. Oh, get closer, get closer. Oh, yeah. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh, look, there we go, there we go. Oh, there it is. Got it.
I love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me again.
Bye.
Thanks, thank you.
So everyone has a story, and I'm hopeful that by sharing stories like yours, and we can help create a kinder world. So thank you again, both Rick and Naomi. And our community is lucky to have such incredible advocates like yourself. For more than 70 years, My Face has been dedicated to changing the faces and transforming the lives of children and adults with facial differences by providing access to holistic, comprehensive care, education, resources, and support that pave the way for better outcomes. To learn more, please visit myface.org. If you would like to learn more about the My Face support groups so that you can connect with others in the craniofacial community, please visit myface.org/online-groups. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to My Face's YouTube channel to catch future live broadcasts of My Face, My Story. You can also listen to the audio recordings on your favorite podcast app, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. If you'd like to receive email reminders of new episodes, please sign up at myface.org/mystory. That's myface.org/mystory. Thank you for joining us for this episode of My Face, My Story, and I hope you will join us for the next episode in December, where we will have a conversation with someone who inspires me every day, and that is Matthew Jaffe. That is it for today's episode of My Face, My Story. But remember, it takes courage to share your story, so be brave and speak out.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Paul, the Executive Director of My Face. My Face is a nonprofit organization dedicated to changing the faces and transforming the lives of children and adults with facial differences. We do this through various programs and events such as the Transforming Lives educational webinar series, Races for Faces, the Wonder Project, and the groundbreaking My Face, My Story conversational series. You can learn more about all of these on our website at myface.org. If you enjoyed today's program, we hope you'll consider making a donation to help keep programs like this possible, as well as to further the support of the craniofacial community. Thank you.